Hey, welcome to episode 97 of Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. Can't believe it. We're almost at 100. I've got a call to action coming a bit, so take a listen to that. There's some great content here from Tom Schimmer and from others, Lainey Rowell and Brian Martin, who at the end of my New to Me podcast, my goodness, I'm stumbling over my words this morning as I'm stumbling down the street. All right, without more talking right now, here we go, episode 97, Fresh Air at 5. Call to action, November 15, 2022. All right, everybody, Fresh Air at 5 is going to be 100 episodes old in, well, this is episode 97 this is going into, and then moving on, we're going to be 98, 99, and 100 in about 3 weeks from now. And so as I'm prepping and thinking about episode 100, it's a milestone. It's a big milestone. You know, I cheer on podcasters for crossing that line. That's significant and really important. I want to thank all of you that have faithfully listened to Fresh Air at 5 over this past year, almost 2 years now. And there's been a lot of influence in why I do what I do. And shout outs to Sarah Johnson and Chris Nessie, Tim Cavey, Tim Stevenson, the boys down in California, Ryan and Brian from Check This Out podcast. We got Eric and Nick out on the East Coast. And, my parents, my friends and family here. And so this is a call to action. My call to action is I'd like to hear an audio clip from you or a video, something like that, about how Fresh Air at 5 has affected you. What is your connection to Fresh Air at 5? How long have you listened to Fresh Air at 5? If you haven't listened to Fresh Air at 5, but you listen to my dailies, you're effectively listening to Fresh Air at 5. So go over and click subscribe in a podcatcher to Fresh Air at 5 so you can listen. And I would like to hear from you, a 30-second to 1-minute audio clip about how Fresh Air at 5 has impacted you, this thing that I do every day. What do you think about that? Kelly Croy, I'm going to shout you out as well and put you into this list. So thank you all. Appreciate it. I've been fortunate to be a guest on a number of podcasts and connection with Scott Nunes as well. So I'm going to ask this, and I'm hoping to hear back from you, hopefully within the next 2 weeks by the end of November, so I can spin up your comments in episode 100 of Fresh Air at 5. All right, that's the call to action. Thank you. Bye.
Hi, I'm Batsheva Frankel from Overthrowing Education, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. I'm your host, Brian Carpenter. Fresh Air at 5 is my regular attempt to exercise by walking about my neighborhood to take in podcast content, then reflect in an unedited video, which I finally post to my Twitter channel. This podcast will be a regular collection of the audio from these selfie videos. You can follow me on Twitter at Fresh Air at 5 or check out my website, briancarpenter.com, for other content I have created and collected. Hey, PLN episode 97 of Fresh Air at 5 is in the cookbooks right now and should be dropped this Friday as I'm out walking now. It's Monday morning, November. What is it? I don't even know. November 14th, I think. And yes, we are here. We're walking. And it is 0 degrees Celsius. This past weekend, I had some R&R and escaped to Vancouver Island with my wife. I'm back. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling more motivated today. And you know what? It's really interesting as an adult and dealing with motivation in my days here as a teacher, that the motivation seems to wane at moments. In episode I think it is 89 of the Tom Schimmer podcast. Could even be 90. I'm sorry, Tom. I'll have to get that right in the next segment. But you talk about two choices at the outset, talking about two choices about student engagement, and that we as teachers need to probably take some responsibility for that, as opposed to calling students disengaged and lazy. I really like what you had to say, and people, you need to take a listen to this, because we can blame the students for their lack of engagement, or we can look at what has gone on and wonder if it is not because they are lazy, but that they feel hopeless. Like, we just came through a global pandemic, and that has taken a toll on all of us. It's taken a toll on me. It's taken a toll on Tom. It's taken a toll on all of us in different ways. And our levels of engagement in the work that we do and the things that we do is, interesting to look at. Students are forced, as Tom said, to go to school, and then we expect them to be engaged in what they're doing. So where do we as teachers play a role in that? And where do students play a role in that? If they come willing, then we should provide engaging experiences for them and relevancy. All right, I'm feeling better. But yeah, even as an adult, and I got an adult brain, I have a different motivation than students to do things probably. So hey, there's the first segment. We'll talk to you. One more thing for November 14, 2022, as I'm listening to episode 90, confirmed. I looked at the episode number, Tom, of the Tom Schimmer podcast. Tom talks with Eric Seibel out of California, who's an educator of 25 years and administrator, director of student services in his district there, and the work that they're doing in California and how he has observed a thing called play in schools. And in 2015, him and the Bedley brothers, they started Global School Play Day, a super curious idea to me that they proposed that you take a day out of your school year and have a day for play. I know play is important. I know it's super important. And having a day where you have unstructured play at school sounds chaotic to me. Sounds good in another way, because we don't have to plan. But it sounds like it's a lot of work. Okay, the whole thing about play and engagement in our kids' lives, even in my own kids' lives, is I provide structured opportunities for them to do different things. We have youth group, which is kind of frivolous. But the point is that they're engaging in a community and hanging out with other kids and learning about God stuff. That's important. We got rugby, cooking classes. My son, goes to the gym. But those are all very structured after school types of things. Compared to when I was young, I'd come home from school, I'd hit the backyard and ride my bike without a helmet around my neighborhood and just be until the streetlights came on. So how can we do that in our schools? Well, Eric Seibel tells us how and what we can do in our schools to provide an opportunity for Global School Play Day on February 3rd. Take a listen. It's powerful. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Tom, for the conversation. The last thing for today, as I finish reflecting on episode 90 of the Tom Schimmer podcast, people, take a subscribe to this. If you don't subscribe and listen to Tom Schimmer, you need to do so. He has very thought-provoking and, educationally minded and relevant in today conversations with guests, and his Don't At Me sections are thought-provoking, and he talks about assessment as well. So thank you, Tom. I appreciate the work you put into and pour into your podcast every week, because it challenges me and, makes a difference for me. Today, as I listened, you talked about group grades and how do we do group grades, and is there a place for it on a student report card? And you relate it to the core competency of collaboration, one of those things that we're supposed to be teaching, and it's important, super important. In our world, I look at what I do every day, and I don't do it in isolation, but in collaboration with others. No, I don't have them do my work, but I'm a part of a thing that's bigger than me. Super important. I also like how you looked at some research talking about the difference between cultures as oral or written traditions as opposed to, group and individual, and putting those two things on a grid, on a Cartesian coordinate system, so that I can see kind of in quadrants what things would look like. I think it's important that we do group work, and I do that in my space with my 11s and 12s. We publish the school newsletter each month, and we're working on the yearbook and other things that we do like that, and value the work that each other does. All right, that's it. Have a fabulous day. I'm almost home. It's still 0 degrees Celsius, so chilly, but I'm excited about the day. Have a fabulous day, and keep on doing what you do. Bye. Hey, PLN, November 15, 2022. I want to start out today saying I am encouraged. Got up this morning, out the door, Big Dipper's hanging way over my head, and in the straight up position. Orion's behind me, walking this morning. It's 0 degrees Celsius, bundled up and out for a fantastic morning walk. I plugged in episode 228 of the Wired Educator podcast with Kelly Croy, and it was so encouraging to start listening to a conversation that Kelly has about leadership and growth as a leader with Zach Baumeister on episode 228. And Zach Baumeister is the author of a 40-day devotional journal book called Leading with a Humble Heart. And so that book, Zach, I'm going to go buy that book. I like the message that I heard. And Kelly, congratulations, and I'm really proud of you for stepping out and talking about your Christian faith here on The Wired Educator. It is something that, us as Christians, we don't want to be pushy and arrogant about, but it is something that defines this guy right here. My faith in Jesus Christ makes a significant impact in my everyday. Kindness is taught to me by the words of Christ out of the Bible. Reading the scripture is important because it helps ground me and is a light in my day. And so I'm just going to say these things here on Fresh Air at 5. And if you resonate with that, I'd like to hear from you. I'd like to hear that what your spiritual journey is, what that's going on for you. But I appreciate the conversation that Zach and Kelly have about faith and about scripture and about devotion and morning habits. And this is one of my morning habits, is getting out for some exercise and taking in some PD and learning for myself. I get home and then I open up the Bible and then I do a bit of journaling. And yes, it makes a difference. All right, so I got one more thing to say. I'll be right back. One more thing for November 15, 2022. Continuing my thoughts on episode 228 of the Wired Educator podcast with Kelly Croy and guest Zach Baumeister, the author of Leading with a Humble Heart. I wanted to say that, morning routines are so important, and the habits that we have do affect our joy and our things that we do in our day. Some will meditate, some will do yoga, some will exercise, but you got to find what works for you. And what's working for me right now is walking in the morning, coming home, actually doing Wordle. And I'm in a Wordle community, and we share our results every day. So that's a fun connection, very light connection, but important to me. And I Pokemon on the way around my walk in the morning. I read the Word of God and reflect on what I am hearing. Lately, I've been taken in using the Olive Tree Bible Study software app on my phone, and there is a reading program called 100 Bible Stories. And when you start reading them, these are the big ones. These are the big Bible stories that you read and you hear about in Sunday school when you're a child. But as you go older, reading those stories again through an adult lens, a different lens, changes how your perception of things written in there is, the themes and things like that. I'm seeing a lot of leadership going on in the way Jesus interacts with the disciples, the way he trains them, the way he takes them for rest, and then things happen and they're challenged, and he's there walking alongside them, being the ultimate leader. So there you go. That's it. I'm proud to be a child of God and walking faithfully with our Lord. All right, have a great day. And we talk to you, Kelly and Zach. Appreciate it. Zach, I'm going to order your book so I can have that and learn about leadership from your perspective. Peace out. Bye. Hey PLN, it's Wednesday, November 16, 2022. Good morning to you. Hope you are doing well. It is, I think, plus 1 degree Celsius here, maybe 0. The wind is not there. It's calm. And the moon, it's about a half moon up there. I can see some stars and planets, and it's just a great morning. All right, as I'm walking this morning, I listened to Season 3, Episode 9 of Mindset Monday, as George brings us another reflection and inspiring bit of work as he shares from his heart about being curious and not judgmental. That's a quote from somebody, Whitman, in Ted Lasso. I don't know Ted Lasso, so I gotta maybe, I don't know, you guys are all talking about Ted Lasso out there, and I gotta figure out who Ted Lasso is and maybe see if I can watch it. I don't know if I can watch it on any of my subscriptions because I don't have something that it's on. Maybe. So anyhow, I'm gonna maybe look it up, see if I can find it. But he was talking about being curious and not judgmental, and that's about us, jumping to conclusions before we know more facts. I did that this past week. As a teacher, I got some work from a pair of students, and it was like the same, and I was like, whoa, there's cheating, and that's my first initial foray into understanding what's going on. Why is it going on? After doing some digging and all this, it was still the same work, still not appropriate, but the point is I understood the situation, where it was coming from and why it was coming from where it was and who these students are. So, that came through reaching out and talking to some of those supports around them and finding out what their deal is. So, it took a bit of time, but my initial response was like, oh, I can't believe they're cheating, but I had to slow it down and pause and not be overreactive. I said what I said about, plagiarism right away, but then I had to back it up. All right, George, hey, thanks for the inspiration, and be curious, not judgmental, period. Bye-bye. One more thing for November 16, 2022, Mindset Monday, Season 3, Episode 10 finale. It's it. It's like the 10th episode. George dropped it, and he's like, okay, I got to get to 10 episodes. That's my goal. Life isn't necessarily as pretty as we would like to share it, but that's the reality of life, George, and I really appreciate your honesty as you've been going through challenges with your recent move and things like that this past season, and sharing what you have learned along the way. In this, you're like, okay, you got to continue until the job is finished. That's the name of the episode, and that's super important, to finish well, to just finish, even not even to just finish well, but just to finish, get it to the end. And I'm inspired by things around me, and I enjoy watching Formula One racing, and Tom Schimmer and I, we watch Formula One racing. The reason I like watching is because I like watching this story unfold of this team with this technical problem about going as fast as they can for as consistently as they can for a whole season, and coming out at the other side and not quitting, not stopping. This past season, a team has secured the Drivers' Championship and the Constructors' Championship, but they are not stopping. They are not stopping and quitting. They are continuing until the very last race, which is this weekend. Super excited, yes. And but the point is that they're not stopping. They're planning on winning this race. They're planning on continuing and overcoming more than the other teams around them. The other teams are chasing them. It's a great battle, but the point is we got to find our inspiration in things around us. What do you do? Where do you walk? What do you see every day that you can find some inspiration for yourself to keep on going, to not quitting? The little creatures in our that we have as pets, what do? Like watching nature, things like that. Hey, George, appreciate it. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to Mindset Monday Season 4, if you will do so. Peace out. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye. The last thing for November 16, 2022, episode 32 of Evolving with Gratitude with host Lainey Rowell. And she has on guest Brian Martin, who is a second grade teacher. And Lainey and Brian connect because they're both second grade teachers. And it's amazing to hear primary teachers talk about their educational opportunities that they have with their young people. I am privileged in my school setting. I work at the Abbotsford Virtual School and work with secondary students in an online space and face-to-face space and middle school students. And we are a K-2 adult school, and we have students that are in kindergarten all the way up to adulthood that are upgrading and doing things like that. And one of my special things is on Wednesday mornings, I get to go into the K-2 classroom. It's a mixed class, and I get to hang out with the little ones. And that is some serious joy that it pumps into my life as I get to spend time with the little ones. And I'm gonna be doing that again today. And so important that we take time to notice. That's what Brian and Lainey were talking about, was the noticing. How do you notice things in your days that you can be grateful for, or that other people are grateful for? And that's so important. And that time is a precious gift. So much so it is. Living your life like today is the first day of your life, and it's also the last day of your life. And how would that affect what you do in this day if you had that approach? My one word for 2022 is presence, and it is about being present wholly where I am all the time with the people I am, so that I give them 100% of me. So yes, my thoughts, appreciate it. Brian Martin, I'm going to be following you. And you know what? Elementary school teachers are amazing. Love working with them. They inspire me. And we all have a different role in this educational thing with our students. All right, Lainey, have a great day. Brian, have a great day. And y'all have a great day. Peace. Bye. Hey, PLN, Friday, November 8, 2022. Just out for fresh air at 5 this morning, and I took a walk up Eagle Mountain around my neighborhood, another area, and I just came past our brand new school in the school district, Irene Keller Elementary School here, and it's a beautiful place of learning and newness, so it's pretty fantastic. A friend of mine, he helped build this place, so that's another personal connection for me, and yes, cool things going on in our district, and this is our newest school. Okay, last night I heard on Twitter that Twitter's in trouble, maybe? Oh my goodness, I hope not, because I don't know, I'm gonna have to learn another social media platform to connect with all my peeps and all that stuff. So Elon Musk made a big announcement saying we're going hardcore, and if you're not, you got an opportunity to leave. And wow, okay, I don't know what that means. So anyhow, I'm hoping you're hearing this on Twitter. I'm just posting this on Twitter today, and apparently Twitter offices are closed until Monday. So let's see what happens with Twitter. Okay, This morning, I listened to a new to me podcast called Teaching Champions with Brian Martin. I just heard Brian Martin recently talking with Lainey Rowell on the Evolving with Gratitude podcast, and Brian shares his passion for education. That's what he did with Lainey. And then as I stepped into this new podcast of listening, I hear Brian just excited. He's a second grade teacher and excited about sharing, learning, and how to do things with other teachers. That's the point of it. So he talks with Grayson McKinney and Zach Rondo, who are the authors of The Expert Effect, and they have three facets of approach here. They talk about learning from the experts, they talk about becoming the experts, and then sharing like experts. So I think that's the three facets of their thing. And this grew out of them being tech coaches and how they shared their experiences. All right, I gotta come back. I got more to say. Hang on. Okay, one more thing for November 18, 2022. Continuing my thoughts on episode 114 of Teaching Champions podcast with Brian Martin, as he was talking with Zach Rondo and Grayson McKinney, who are the authors of The Expert Effect. It's awesome to hear, gentlemen, how you have taken and put some shape around project-based learning and into these three areas of learning from experts, becoming the experts, and then sharing like experts, and having that expert mindset for your students. You know, I had just heard a podcast recently about being experts, and my question is, can we actually be called the expert? We can be called very proficient and excellent at what we do, but does expert make us, you know, the top of the game, the perfectionist of this thing? That's my question. But that's not for what we're doing right here. And so I want to just say, hey, the Expert Effect book is pretty nifty. And then there's the Expert Expeditions, which is the kids, the student level book of examples of student projects that have happened in the past. So thanks, gentlemen. I appreciate that. And you guys also talk about podcasting in a way of sharing your learning. Podcasting is a great opportunity. That's why I'm doing it right here, and you guys do yours as well. And you have the 4th grade Innovators podcast and the 5th grade Futurist podcast, and those can be found on Spotify and other places as examples of how we can use podcasting in our schools. I'm digging into that, and with my seniors, hopefully this coming year, I'm looking at acquiring some gear for that. But yes, it's a fantastic opportunity. Jay and Pav just have a book called The Magnificent Microphone, which is their student version book about how to get going with podcasting. And so maybe, gentlemen, you guys got to connect with Jay and Pav. And Jay and Pav, take a listen to this episode because they have talked about what they do in their classrooms. All right, that's all I got. Love Wow in the World. I have listened to that in the past. It's super fun. All right, take care. Have a great day. Bye. As my one word for 2021 is appreciate, I appreciate you giving me a listen as I've created this podcast experience for you. It's a unique Blinkist or Coles Notes version of the content I take in, like a highlight reel, so that you can hopefully find other interesting podcasts you may not have considered before. I've recorded the specific podcast episodes in the show notes for your learning convenience. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And if you enjoyed this podcast and its format, share it with someone else. Tweet about your experience or give it a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. Fresh Air at 5 can also be found on Voice Ed Radio. Your voice is right here, and on the Education Podcast Network, Podcasts for Educators, Podcasts by Educators. I hope you have a fantastic day and get some fresh air before the day is out, and take care of yourself because you're worth it.